while. Yeah, so how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Well, yeah, today's kind of a busy day, although I'm at home, all the video conferences, writing this and that. So, yeah, pretty wild and crazy time we're living in with all of these COVID-19 and other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. Am I right? You have like 15, 20 minutes
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, cool. So now about talking about Indian students, I saw this letter being shared in the community group. It's actually a cry for help because, as it seems, many of Indian students here are having problems due to COVID-19 and the lockdown in India. So could you please tell us more about it?
Uh, yes, as we can see, the whole world now is in this pandemic of COVID-19. I can say that not only people here in Latvia, but the whole world is been experiencing this bitter taste. So far, Indian people in Latvia are being taking very care about the situations. I can say that they are very alert but not anxious to things. But the lockdown in India have given a big impact to the students here who are purely depending on students who are purely depending on their parents. For instance, can you hear me?
Yes, sure, I hear you.
Yeah, for instance, the situations are like to the people who are living in the dormitories of university hostel, they need to pay their rent every month, and these expenses are paid by their parents. So at the moment, the parents cannot send the money. This is because completely India is now locked down. So they cannot go to the banks to deposit this money. So the students who are living here cannot receive the money. So I think this is a big situation for the students who are living in dormitory, especially Indian students, and much of them cannot travel to their plans and to their things where they could go, which have been already scheduled ahead from 1 month or two. They have cancelled, they have postponed, and many things like this.
Mhm. So, and how many are those students who have such problems? Like very approximately.
Very approximately, I think it could be almost the people who are living in the dormitories of university hostels. But because right now in Riga Technical University, if you think there are more than 300 or 400, if we think about RSU or some other universities, it depends, but because there are more in RTU only, but
Mhm.
could be more in other universities. But all in all, I think there are more than like 600 to 700 people.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me that this situation is very serious. In this case, how Indian government helps Indian students that are residing in Latvia.
So far, Indian government has been taking a very good steps, I could say. Very recently, Embassy of India has also opened a community support groups, including Riga, and since the embassy is in Stockholm, so the embassy works for both Sweden and Latvia. So the embassy has organized some community support groups where people can directly call to the representatives and share their problems, and they can be in touch with them.
Hmm. So, for instance, if one person has problems or difficulties with paying his rent, then
Mhm.
theoretically he can contact this group and they are going to help him, or how this works.
This more precisely, we are requesting the departments and the universities or some other financial things for now to extend this payment periods. Like before, it was to be paid on every month of 28th. So right now, we are requesting them to extend these dates to prolonged and such that they can pay later. But because they cannot force them to pay, and sometimes they understand the situations how everything is happening. So I think they are going to extend. If more likely they're not going to extend, then we will figure out something how everything could be solved out.
As I understand, you study at RTU, so Riga Technical University. Um, yeah, how your university is reacting to this? Are they helping you in one way or another? I don't mean you exactly, but more, those other students from India.
Yes, I think Riga Technical University is doing all its best efforts to the foreign students, including Indians. They're publishing all the necessary things, whatever is getting to, on the social medias and everything on our official e-learning platforms. So far, the online class, I mean, the on-site classes have been cancelled, but still the distance education process is going. I think it is the biggest gift or something like that which university is giving. Like they completely did not stop the education, but distance education, which means that we can learn from home, like this, as we're talking in Skype. We are having classes in Microsoft, we are having in Zoom and different things. This is like the schedule is being going as planned, but on a distance, on a remote version. And still every day they're updating the things, how everything is happening, and what are the things, what are the precautions, how to react for the situations, unnecessary things. I think it is doing its best efforts to support the students here in Latvia.
What kind of help, in your opinion, or what kind of support additionally Indian students need in this situation? For instance, from Latvian government, NGOs, maybe, or from other people.
Huh. So a question back to you in a general term, or on this situation.
I mean, more on this situation. You know, difficulties with paying rent and other stuff.
Yeah, I think Latvian government should understand the students' abilities during this. I think much of the students are here working on part-time basis, who are right now feeling more pain and they have been unemployed. So Latvian government should approach such things and look after it. And I think uh, very recently, when we have some of our friends have some symptoms, when we try to reach this 113, they could not talk in English. So that is one of the biggest pain, I think. Why? Because since we are in emergency and the people still don't talk in English to us, and I think Latvian government should establish some call centers or something customer support where the call gets diverted and they can explain the situations, and everything gets connected, and situation should work like that.
Mhm. Uh, the last thing you've said right now, this is very serious. Maybe you
Yes.
can, tell me more about one such an example where your fellow student, for instance, tried to call 113 and nobody spoke English. So
Yeah.
what exactly happened?
Yeah, super. Not one student. It is a very practical case in my situation. A friend of mine have traveled abroad and has come during this period, not this period, very early of this pandemic period. And to be safe ourselves, we tried to call to 113. After ringing 3 or 4 times, finally our call got connected. And when we speak to them, they are very poor in their English skills. This doesn't mean that all these 113 service centers don't know English, but probably one of them who picked the call could not speak a very good English. So when we try to reach out them and say that we have such symptoms and all, they were trying repeatedly asking what, but some of other way the message has been conveyed, and they said that some centers are there, just you can go there and visit. But still it is not a proper way how an emergency treats and emergency services treat the people during the situations.
Do you know about the other phone number? One is 113, and there is also another one which starts like from 8740, something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you try to call them as well?
No, not really. We try to search what is on internet and we try to go there and everything happened perfectly smooth, but we didn't try to call other numbers. Why? Because you see, like we are like really frustrated on the situations itself, and when
Yeah.
we try to approach the emergencies, they still don't speak English, and it's all like again building something which doesn't make it work anything. So we just move in our own way.
So now let's gonna talk about another topic. I assume that before Indian lockdown, some of the students, were in contact with their parents, and maybe some of them wanted to go back. So, were there any problems going back to India, or were there any problems with students that were in India at the time of this crisis beginning, who were traveling back to Latvia? So, were there any problems there?
I think there were some problems why because people who are back in India are trying to come back here to Latvia, and situations are not working by because the Air Force, I mean the border securities have said that the flights which are landing from international zones could not depart, I mean, arrive here into the destinations. So they have cancelled the plans. And likewise, the situation is also here from on March 17th or 18th. I don't remember the date exactly. Some of the Indian people who still wanted to go and stay with their parents in this quarantine period. They have booked their flights and went to this Riga International Airport where they did not allow them to go back. This is because they said that the borders have been closed, but still, India has taken this decision on 23rd of March. But Latvia is a bit before. It has made on 18th of March to close the air borders. So the conflict is like people cannot go back to their homes and they cannot stay here comfortably. As you can see, the cases have been growing, and at the moment it is 376. And situations are like that.
Hmm. So one more thing. If in India all the banks are closed and people are not really allowed to go even to grocery stores, so how do they communicate with each other, except, I don't know, phone or Skype? Because I assuming that not everyone has internet, and old people, for instance, I don't know.
Hmm. You mean the people who are in the India or the people who want to talk out
Well,
like?
let's imagine some situation. For instance, a student lives here in Riga and studies in Riga, and his, I don't know, grandma
Mhm.
lives in some rural area where usually the internet connection is bad, or there is no internet at all. So, were there any problems with this kind of communication between relatives?
I don't think really, but because there are like mostly the connections now almost have become 5G and everywhere they're working very good. And if at all the grandma who still wants to talk to their some person who's living abroad can, I think, talk to their neighbors. Why? Because in India, I think hospitality matters. I think if you don't have anything, you can just ask your neighbors, and they're better who can help, and they will just do it whatever it is. And I think much of them now are becoming, I mean, though they're uneducated, these old people are now habituated to use these smartphones, how they work, and at least for the call's sake they can make and dial.
Sorry for the last one, because I at the time I'm living, in this kind of Eastern Europe stereotype set
Hmm.
of elderly people that don't, use or know how to use technology. So that's my stereotype, and of course it is false. So sorry.
But speaking like my grandmother, who is not that uneducated, but still she can dial calls on this smartphone and It's like you can say that the memory power, not the stereotype. At least they can remember once or twice how they can see, unless this connection is off. If
Hmm.
everything is going smooth, they can do it, I guess.
Okay. So thank you for this interview, and maybe one last question.
Yes.
What is there some important thing that you wanted to tell us, but I didn't ask you?
Yes, yes.
So what is that?
Before telling this, I would like to thank Ilya, the journalist from TED TV, giving such opportunity. I would like to tell for every people in Indian people living in Latvia and my fellow Latvian friends that minding our minds during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is very difficult, not only for the people living here, but whole world is seeing today, and they should follow some necessary steps and precautions like practicing A, B, C, D. A is like avoid large crowds. B is like beware of people, shake hand, and C is like count the correct steps, and D is like don't touch the sensitive parts like eyes, ears, and mouth unless you wash. And also, people should understand the importance of lockdown. As far I see that in Latvia, still the transport runs on its regular basis, though there were some patches attached to this. I don't know why government is still encouraging people to move in this isolation period. It is better if people understand the importance of lockdown, which can prevent and stop people meeting and which can prevent the spread of diseases. And the people should also know handling the social isolation, like being in home and being keeping themselves busy in some or the other works like reading, listening music, cooking, something like that. And we have to focus what the things which are having happening very real and reject the fake causes. As we can see, some of the social media, some of the social sites says that something is going to happen tomorrow, something is going to happen tomorrow, and the death rate is falling and the death rate is increasing. So people should clearly understand the situation and use their knowledge, which is their own power, and they should see what everything is happening and react accordingly. And one thing I would like to tell, what is not advisable during this period is smoking and drinking and consumption of other drugs, which can pull down our immunity and make us lazy and drowsy, and sometimes this also could give some mild symptoms which we may not know until 14 days, if I'm not wrong. And yes, and one last thing I would like to conclude is that we should remember that a good health and mental status in difficult things may always win the battle of the race.
Okay, thank you. One last thing. Could you tell me about yourself in a couple of words? This is for my article. So, you're studying at RTU. What exactly do you study? So,
I'm studying at Riga Technical University in Bachelor's of Computer System. At the moment, I'm in sixth semester, a final year student in my research.
mhm. So, and you're from India, from Ahmedabad.
No, I'm from Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And I'm very proactively working in as a moderator of Indian community of Latvia. And very recently, I've got an offer to moderate Indian Association of Latvia, and I'm a founding member of Indians in Open Community Site and a member of Indian Latvian Cultural and Economic Forum.
Okay, thank you. You're, as it seems to me, very busy and serious man. So thank
Mhm.
you for telling me this and all the answers. Just one last thing. I've thought about it only now. Where do you get the most recent information on all the government measures fighting the COVID-19? Like from news portals or maybe from your university mainly?
I can say that there is no one such clear platform, but I am parallelly exploring all the things. My own home country's news channels, Latvian news channels, and of course, my university, and the most important thing nowadays, running Facebook, like all different things.
Okay, thank you for this conversation. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm sure I'm gonna write a good article about it. I'm gonna talk with a couple more students, and then probably tomorrow or on Thursday we will publish